Today I'm going to talk about safe drinking water. We're talking about the three things that are most important for those of us who are aware of what's going on and want to prepare our families for difficulties or hard times to come. And we've talked about having a place that you can keep your family warm. Obviously, shelter is number one. Can you heat your home? Can you heat your home without electricity, without utilities? You need to take steps to do that. And for most of us, that's going to be a wood stove. And after you have that sorted, then you need to be able to provide safe drinking water. Now, we can go about 3 days without drinking anything before we start having serious problems, so that's not much time. If preparations aren't made now, if you haven't thought about this in advance, you're going to be in trouble. If you can't get water out of that tap, if it's not flowing, if it's not coming through, and you haven't many hundreds or thousands of gallons in reserve, you're going to have some serious issues. So one way to really mitigate that that problem or that difficulty is with it's a good quality water filter. So the one that I'm going to feature and the one that I decided to purchase is made by AquaRain. It's not the only company producing them. There's another company called Berkey, which essentially makes the same thing. Price-wise, they're compatible. Function, fit, and finish, all of them, they appear to be compatible. I don't think you could go wrong with either one. And how these work it's very simple. No plumbing, no power, nothing's required. So it's essentially three pieces. You have the lid, the top section, and you have the bottom section. And how it works is, if you can look inside here, these are 4 ceramic carbon filters. Now, when we're talking about water filters, that's actually not the right word to use with this filter. This is considered to be water treatment because it takes out everything. Chlorine, bacteria, giardia, anything. This is about the best that a person can get. So we've been using it, and it has given us a peace of mind, and also made our water taste a lot better. You know, we draw water from springs and wells, and we have not really liked the taste of it very well. This has really solved that problem. But also, it gives me a peace of mind. So once we start doing collecting rainwater and doing all of those things, we can use this filter system and have a peace of mind that we're not going to have any issues. You can essentially dip water out of a swimming pool, out of a pond, mud puddles, anywhere you can possibly find water. With one of these, you can filter thousands and thousands of gallons. Now, obviously, the dirtier water you put in these things, the quickly they're going to clog up. But that can be mitigated simply by putting a piece of cotton on the top, filtering any sediments, big stuff, or filtering through a coffee filter. You want to really take care of these filters because they're expensive, but they will last for thousands of gallons, and you can clean them, and we'll go into that. So once you've got the lid, you've got this section with the filters. You can see right here the 4 outlet holes. And then you have the lower section. And the lower section is essentially a stainless steel pot with your old coffee type of valve. So how it works is I think this particular one here holds about a little over 2 gallons, maybe 2 1/4 gallons. But you just fill it up with water, and it gravity feeds, and it drips through those filters. It's not a fast filter. It takes several hours for it to go through, to percolate through. But what difference does it make? This is strictly for drinking water. We're not trying to produce water for non-essential things. So, that's basically it. There's not a whole lot to it. As far as price on these things, they basically break down to 2 different levels. You can buy one with 2 filters. They all will accept 4, but what they'll do is they send you 2 plugs that you can plug the holes of the ones you're not using. You can have 2 filters, and you're going to pay for the whole unit about roughly $200. If you want the 4 filter system, it's going to filter twice as fast, and it's going to cost you an extra $100. I think this one delivered to our house was $306, and that was with shipping. So that's whether you go with the Berkey or the AquaRain, that's essentially what you can expect to pay. And I know it sounds like a lot of money, and someone's going to say, "Oh, you know, that's a lot of money. You know, I'll just use my Brita, or I'll filter through my handkerchief." You know, it's not the same thing, and it's not a lot of money. If you took I think for a lot of us, if you took an inventory of what you've spent on guns and knives and those things, you know, how many guns and knives do you need? Do you need a safe full of guns when you don't have the essentials like this pinned down, something that's so critical not only for yourself but for your family, that could change your lives, prevent you from getting sick, from getting poisoned? And if you guys are still drinking tap water, and in a God forbid, in a jurisdiction where they're still adding fluoride and tremendous amounts of chlorine, they all use chlorine, you know, you need to do something about that. Even if you don't have any interest in preparing for difficult or hard times, you need to have one of these things on your counter just to filter the water that you're drinking. You know, you're gonna, if you follow the user guidelines for this thing, you're talking about, I think what they said was 2 cents a gallon. But what I've read from people that are using these in South America, missionaries and people that are in remote areas working where the water is really, really toxic, are using these things and getting a lot more time out of them than what the manufacturer is recommending. And you can clean them. So there's a couple things that come with the kit. Is you have a Scotch-Brite pad here, and that's what they recommend for cleaning those filters. And they've also given you a gauge. You see this plastic gauge. What this does is you snap this over, you check the diameter of those ceramics, because as you clean that ceramic and those filters on the outside, they will diminish in size. But you can clean them many, many times. So you want to be really careful when cleaning them. And if what the manufacturer says, if this gauge slips loosely over any part of the ceramic, you need to replace those filters. But I mean, you're talking years and years of use, and I think it's an excellent system because it just doesn't require any power, it doesn't require any plumbing, and you could even take it with you. You could load it up in your car and take it camping if you wanted to. It's a little bit big, but it's doable. Also in the kit are some rubber plugs if you wanted to close off the system, or only use half the filters, so you could plug those 2 holes with it. And it might be a good idea to order, if you don't consume a lot of water, you could order a 4 filter system, save 2 for reserve, and just run off the 2. It's only going to run half as fast, but it drips all day long and it's there when you need it. It can just run all night and it's not an issue. There's one other thing that you might want to consider that I'm going to order, and it's a one thing that's been kind of inconvenient is when you fill up the top, you just really don't know where the levels are at. So they do sell an upgraded nozzle that has a glass tube on the top that will measure how much water is in there. So you can just visually inspect that sight glass and know if you need to add more water or not. If you add too much water on the top, obviously it's going to overflow all over your counter and make a mess. So that's it. As far as cost of the filters, I think when I looked them up, you're looking at about, I think they're about $60 a piece for filters. But I would think for most people that this is going to last for years and years. And if you were concerned about it, maybe buy a couple extra filters and put them in for reserve just in case. But I think it's something that is just an essential piece of equipment for anyone who wants to have a few more options. Absolutely, great product. Is that it? Is there anything else I wanted to discuss? Oh, one other thing. Yeah, I think I discussed the price. You know, I mean, really, start thinking about take some inventory of what you have in your house. Take an inventory on your on tools, on stuff, and as I've always said in the videos, if you find things that you haven't used for, I don't know, you know, for me it's 12 months. If I haven't used something for 12 months or don't see, and it's not really specialized, and don't see a need for it, you know, it's time for it to go. And there's not one of you out there that couldn't put a few trinkets and knickknacks and things you'd no longer need on eBay and come up with the money to buy something like this that is so important. Sell a gun. Sell an extra rifle. You know, how many rifles do you need? How many handguns do you need? You know, what are your priorities? Yes, you want to be able to defend yourself and your possession and take care of your family. However, if you don't have access to clean drinking water, you don't have adequate food, and don't have a way to keep your family warm, what good is a state full of guns and all of this nonsense? And, you know, as difficult as times are getting, and as perilous as our economy looks like, you know, what business do any of us have collecting anything? And I see people that are collecting things, and they have 15 or 20 or 30 of these individual knives. You know, well, we are lacking in the things that are so important in our preparations. If we're lacking in adequate tools, if we don't even have a wood stove or some wood stored up to heat and take care of our family, but we got a collection of knives or guns, to me, that's foolishness. But that's just me. You know, I'm not a collector, never have been, so I don't really get it. But, you know, get rid of those things. You know, we don't need to be sitting around playing video games and having a movie collection of 500,000 movies. I know people that have 2,000 movies. You know, get rid of those things. Put those things on the block. Raise some money and get your family prepared. Get the things that you need. We're not playing games anymore. You know, the Bible tells us that when I was a child, I spoke and I acted like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So if you find yourself a young married guy, you've got a family or family on the way, put those things away. Step up to the plate, become a man, and take care of business. Get your family ready and get your house in order. And put away those things that are taking up your time and pulling your attentions away from the things that really matter. That's my take on it anyway. So thanks for watching, and more videos coming up real soon. I appreciate all the ratings and all the support, and I'll see you soon.